What's going on, guys? So today's topic, and I still need to do a mystery mail day. We've got mail piling up right now, and I have been talking a lot about consoles recently. I'm sure you guys don't mind because a lot of it is still Pokemon based, still is Nintendo based. But I definitely have a mail day coming up that I think I'm going to dedicate to one piece of mail. I have a lot of mail piling up right now, but I think I'm going to spread it out and dedicate that to one piece of mail because it is from a seller who's packed a lot of stuff in for me. So I think I'm just going to do that one box. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into today's topic. So I think that the vintage retro video game market is about to be exploding. And it's already been booming, right? I mean, we had the whole Pokemon movement. People have been paying and collecting, for paying premium for these older Pokemon games. I know I talked about repairing my Pokemon Yellow all day yesterday. Aspen and the dogs agree with me. They are completely in cahoots, and they agree with me on this subject. That's why they're being so vocal about it right now. If you guys are new to the channel, we have dogs in the house. We've got a kid. There's always noise going on. So anyways, so what I've seen recently is as I'm bidding on this stuff in auctions, looking on several different websites, I've noticed that the prices seem to be steadily rising. Over the last 12 months, the prices have risen. I've watched consoles like the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy SP and the Game Boy Pocket Original and the Game Boy Color, but I never really pulled the trigger because I was so deep into the Pokemon TCG and collecting that I really thought there wasn't time or money to put aside to collect retro vintage consoles. But now I'm realizing I may have made a mistake by not diversifying my collection a little bit because I know I missed the boat on a lot of really good items. I know limited edition, Pikachu consoles, the 64 and the Game Boy Color, the limited edition Pikachu versions of those were 12 months, maybe 2 years ago. Those were like $400 or $500. Now they're going for $1,000. They're going for, I know that a mint condition Pikachu Nintendo 64 can be worth $5,000 or more. I know that one of the highest graded 64 Pikachu consoles is like a Wata 85, or at least to my knowledge on the market right now, the highest graded one I think is an 85. And I don't know if I talked about this before, but Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, there's a listing for those in a Wata 98 or 9.8. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not an expert on video game grading, but I am learning more as I go. But that listing was $120,000, and that was the highest graded listing on eBay, and they wanted $40,000 a game. I still don't think that it's a bad time to get into these markets now. I'm definitely getting in late. I got into Pokemon way late, but it still wasn't too late, right? So I got into collecting Pokemon like 3 years ago in terms of vintage and older stuff, and then and the OGs. And then I got into collecting Modern about a year and a half ago. So Modern was really a whole new world. Speaking of Modern, I spent last night, my wife helped me. I was very thankful for that because if you guys have never bindered a set before, it takes forever. The sets now are like 200 plus cards. So even if you buy a 300 card binder, that binder might honestly almost get filled up by all the secret rares and the trainer gallery cards that aren't even really counted in the set, but are an additional 30 to 60 cards after that. It's just crazy. So I bindered Chilling Reign and I bindered Vivid Voltage last night. I only have Battle Style from Sword and Shield. Scarlet and Violet will be dropping in just a couple days. So very exciting. I know I have 4 cases on the way. I have no idea when I'm actually going to receive those. But very exciting stuff coming up. Very excited to try and go after that Koraidon and that Miraidon. I will probably just buy them as singles. But anyways, moving forward. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Modern. So, I now have battle styles that I need to do, which I have the cards. I have everything organized at least to actually binder all the cards that I've pulled over the last year and a half, 2 years. And then I have Darkness Ablaze cards ready and Sword and Shield base cards ready. I opened quite a few Sword and Shield base ETBs. I didn't open those on the channel. The channel wasn't really at that point where I was doing openings. I was still doing that privately. I've thought about it. I still have a lot of packs on the displays behind me. Over here, I've got a whole display full of packs. Over here, I've got a display full of packs. And those are sets that I haven't really quite finished out. Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, Fusion Strike, Chilling Rain, Battle Styles, and Sword and Shield Base. I still have a lot of those packs sealed. So I'm considering after I do the bones for these last binders that I can finish out those binders. Anyways, getting off topic. The vintage retro market is booming, guys. And I honestly, I think it's still a great time to get in. No hype here. I'm going to tell it how it is. The last 2-3 weeks, I have been really adamantly trying to find the best deals on eBay, Mercari, Goodwill, Salvation Army. I've been going to the video game stores that are local and checking out what they have. And honestly, if you don't or haven't heard of this company yet, or you haven't checked them out yet, Video Game World is a great company. It is far above and beyond GameStop in terms of what they actually have, their selection. They actually have all the old OG stuff. I think they caught that market trend and decided to act on it and have a brick and mortar store. Now, me personally, I would rather just sell this stuff online than open a brick and mortar store. But Video Game World is really one of the first places, in my opinion, lately that's ever tried to do something like this. So they have old consoles, Game Boy games, N64 games. They've got it all. You know, you trade in, you get 40% of what they're selling it for, and then they sell it for pretty much market price. If you go into a Video Game World, they're not selling stuff a dime more than the market price. In some cases, I got my Pokemon Emerald, which I've since sold, but I got my Pokemon Emerald like 2 weeks ago for $130. You go on eBay, you cannot get Pokemon Emerald for like less than 150, 180. So honestly, I was pretty happy about that. And then as I'm bidding on Game Boy Advances, I'm realizing that the bids on these Game Boy Advances are sometimes going past $70, $80, which is kind of crazy to me because I thought the video game store was maybe slightly upcharging me, but maybe they can give people 40% of the value market, and then they're able to sell it for slightly less than market so that they're competitive. And I completely understand that. You need to be competitive in this day and age to get your stores off the ground, to get stuff sold. So that being said, they have Game Boy Advances for $75, Game Boy SP 001 AGS for $90. They have 101s for $150. And honestly, all those prices are market price right now. So that gave me a good idea based on their shop for prices that I was willing to look for. Because if I can go to the store and get that product and drive 10 minutes to go get that product, then I'm probably going to get that product over ordering it, paying fees, paying taxes, waiting on shipping. Now, you're still going to have to pay fees and taxes. When I first found Video Game World, I thought it was a mom and pop shop franchise or something, and maybe I'd be able to go in and just pay straight cash and no taxes. That was not the case. But anyways, the prices are still really good, and they gave me a good barometer for what I should be paying for this stuff. So right now, if you're going to buy a Game Boy Advance, if you can get a Game Boy Advance for like $75 or less with shipping. If your shipping is $5, you need to get it $70 or less. If your shipping is $10, you need to get it $65 or less. These are the prices for advances. Colors go for a little bit more. Also, the condition really, really varies. Obviously, the Game Boy SP, this one is not a 101, but just to give you an idea, this is what the backlit version looks like. It's a lot nicer than the Game Boy Advance in terms of having a backlit screen. This is actually a limited edition silver black version. I really, really like this one. This one's growing on me immensely. And I picked this one up for, I think, $80, which I was pretty happy about. I've seen mint condition ones that are much cleaner go for like $130, $140, but you're going to pay for what you get for. So if you're getting a really clean SP, it could run you up to $150, even if it's not a 101. If it has the box and it's mint, it could run you up to $300, maybe $250. A lot of these retain the best value if they're mint and if they have the box, right? The boxes almost mean more than the Game Boys in some cases. I've seen some of these boxes for the limited edition. I know the light green Donkey Kong limited edition console, that box was going in bidding for like $150 with all the pamphlets and so forth. Whereas the console itself, you could probably get for under $100. Same thing with Pokemon games. The cartridges are usually worth $50 to $80. whereas the old OG boxes are usually worth like $200 to $300 just for that box and getting it in mint condition. I'm saying mint condition. These games sealed, these SPs sealed, go up to $1,000 for the games, $500 if it's a sealed SP. These things are going for crazy premiums. Mind you, this was a $200 or $150 system back in the day, so that price has pretty much tripled for what it was. Now, no one's really been a big influencer of consoles, right? It's usually been Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards, other, TCGs. We really haven't seen a massive movement in the retro video game world until recently, the last couple years. And I didn't see this coming, but I'm trying to catch this trend now, and I'm trying to let you guys know about it so you can get in on this as well. It will be more competition for me as I'm bidding on stuff constantly, but that's okay. The whole point is to inform you guys that these deals are still out there. They're still to be had. Now, this week when I was looking for prices on eBay, I noticed the prices were a little bit higher than last week. Not to mention, I noticed that there were way more listings that were just, consoles for parts or repair. There really weren't a whole lot of listings with a nice, clean Game Boy. So those are getting really, really hard to find. When you look up a Game Boy, a Nintendo Game Boy, you see a vast amount of options and a list of stuff that you can go for, but none of that stuff is really what you want. A lot of that stuff is just kind of fluff that's out there that you kind of want to avoid. Scratched up surfaces, scratched up shells. Like if this shell had a bunch of deep surface scratches, that's something that I typically avoid. I know for me personally, I will be going exclusively after consoles that are clean, in good condition, with non-scratch screens. I know that if I'm going to sell this stuff down the road, I want the next person to be really, really happy with what they're getting and not think twice about like, oh, this is damaged, I could have done a little bit better. You always have that thought in the back of your head. It's the same thing with Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, whatever. You always have that thought in the back of your head. I could have done slightly better on this. I could have gotten a slightly better deal on this, and I should have maybe waited a little longer, done my due diligence. I feel like all collectors kind of evolve. We get to a point where we feel like we have to have everything, and we slowly, we buy the used beat up stuff. Then, well, for me, I buy the cheapest stuff I could find, and I've learned that might be the wrong way of going about things. For me personally, I'm so OCD and I nitpick every little detail that I might as well get a cleaner option. The other option is if you find a console that just looks kind of dirty and the photos really aren't well photographed, but the console looks pretty clean, all of that aside, like with some dirt or some smudging, or just poorly photographed by a person that really just doesn't know a lot about the retro game world. For something like that, sometimes there are deals to be had. And I actually picked up a black SP, basically it looked like this one, but it was all black. I picked that up for $60, and it was a buy it now, offer up option. I think it was up for $80. But it was odd to me that so many people will bid on these, some of really, really bad listings, like worn down, destroyed Game Boys. And I get that a lot of people are modding these and they want the motherboard for parts, but at the same time, it's just like, I think modding, and this is a spoiler, but I have ordered a modded controller. I modded Game Boy. I do want to look into that. That will be on a mail day video. I don't know if it will be in the next one coming up, but I will be reviewing a modded console. And off the bat, I can tell you right now, I'm excited I got it, but the other part of me feels like it was a stupid decision because you can just buy an SP that's OEM from the factory, from Nintendo, and it'll have a backlit screen. You don't need the Advance, but I really like the Game Boy Advance, and my childhood Game Boy Advance was black, so I thought it was fitting to get a black Game Boy Advance. There are so many deals out there, and sometimes there are actually better deals for the offer up, buy it now options, and people just don't want to deal with that because they like the thrill of the chase. Sometimes it's not about the chase. Sometimes if you just send sellers an offer and you're polite and you're straight to the point of like, hey, I'm trying to save a little bit of money on these. I know they go in auctions for about this much. I will pay this much today, 10%, 20% less today. And a lot of times those sellers are willing to work with you. I know in my case, that has been the case. I get pretty much all these consoles for like 20% off. I've been pretty happy about that. There's always a better deal. As my dad always says, and I've said this on the channel before, there is always a better deal. Don't settle for just what's out there. Don't be like, oh, well, I'll just pay top price for this because, whatever, it's just a little bit more than what I'd like to pay. But if you're trying to buy a lot of this stuff and build a position and collection and accumulate them, like I'm not even gonna front, guys. I'm trying to have a big storage bin full of these Game Boys. I really think that they're going to skyrocket down the road. And I'm primarily going to focus on like clean examples that are all OEM factory. I really don't care for a lot of this modified stuff. I think that it's really neat, but we didn't have it as kids, so it's really not relatable anymore. Having a modified console is just something that you didn't have. So it's like, it might be the Game Boy of your dreams, but at the same time, for the price of the modded Game Boy I bought, I could have probably got 3 Game Boys that were legitimate Game Boys that were OEM, not with like a shell. And I'm going to critique all of the stuff when I get my first one in. I really got the modded console more or less to do a review on one. And I was really trying to get a deal on one so that I could do a review. No one was willing to budge on those. So I really think that most of the people, the amount of effort and time that goes into making a modded console, I just don't think that it's worth it. Soldering, getting the wires, putting your shell on, so much can go wrong in that. I don't think people are talking about that. I know there's a lot of people that have successfully modified their consoles, but I don't think that it's worth it. And I think there are better deals to be had out there for the original consoles. I do, however, think that it would be smart to buy a console, buy a repair kit, buy a cleaning kit, get some 99% alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, or ISO, whatever. That's what all the cool kids in the retro game world are calling it. I do think it'd be smart to get something like that and then just clean out the console, and then you have everything original, factory, authentic, and then you're good to go. I really think that that is a better way to go than going and spending a bunch of money on these modified consoles. I just don't think that it's worth it. And honestly, they're not willing to budge on price either. So I think it goes both ways. Like, I don't even think it's worth it for them to try and flip those consoles. If you genuinely just love these consoles and want to have a lot of them and want to have legitimate ones, like, I'm going to tell you right now, things that I'm avoiding: damaged consoles, roughed up consoles, parts listings, anything for parts or repair, any little issue, any imperfection, I don't want that listing. There are so many Game Boys out there that you can find that run great. There's no point in getting a listing and trying to like save a couple bucks. I'm avoiding region-free consoles. The consoles that are region-free are from Japan, but they will run any of the US games. I really don't think that there's a point to that. The stronger market, in my opinion, is the US market because there are so few of them. They are scarcer. There are plenty of Japanese model consoles out there, and they kept them in really great shape. And my hat is off to you, Japan, and all of the Japanese owners, because honestly, those consoles are way cleaner than any of the ones we have in the States. And there's people that make full-time businesses. I know the console that I got, that seller has a full-time business out of importing consoles from Japan, making them region-free, modifying them, and then reselling them. I just don't think it's worth it as a collector to buy anything from Japan. Japan is the origin of all this stuff, so maybe my opinions will change. I kind of have that same opinion about Pokemon cards. I would rather have the US Pokemon cards, the English edition Pokemon cards, than the Japanese ones, despite the fact that Japan is the origin of Pocket Monsters, both in Game Boy and Pokemon cards, the TCG. We owe a lot of thanks to Japan for bringing us these amazing quality games and card games. But I would rather, for collector purposes, have the English-based versions to collect. Ideally, I think listings with the original boxes are the best. I only own one currently, but I am bidding on several as that becomes my main focus. This is a fuchsia pink Game Boy game with the original box. Honestly, this is kind of one of my centerpieces right now. I really, really love this box. And one key difference that the Japanese boxes will have is it'll have Japanese at the bottom of here. So it'll be really easy to notice. don't get caught in the trap of thinking you're getting a really good deal and then you're getting a Japanese console that's region free. Those consoles are plenty and bountiful, so there are a lot more of them on the market. The English version is a lot rarer. Anyways, guys, or at least that's what I believe to be, because I see a lot less of the English variants on eBay. But I think that market is booming. I think that it's booming. I don't think it's too late. I think now is a great time to get in. And I've noticed one thing, Video Game World, this franchise that sells old video game stuff and like old collectible games, they have expanded several times this year in the Charlotte area. They have like 4 locations around me right now. I can go to 4 different stores if I want to find retro vintage product, and that's pretty dang cool. When you think about being in 2023 and the fact that I can still go to a video game store that's Video Game World, and I can find a 1999, 2002 console, something like that, that's pretty dang cool. And if a company is expanding like that, that just goes to tell you that that company is doing well, one, and the market is doing really well, two. So I think that's a great indicator of where this market is going, and I think that if you're interested in Pokemon products, I know in my thumbnail I showed this Nintendo game. I think if you guys are interested in that type of stuff, there's no reason you shouldn't be investing in that market along with the TCG. Also, what I love about the Game Boy and being able to play these again is, one, I'm getting my childhood back in another form. I played the Game Boy games a lot. I didn't play the card game, so I'm getting that return on that investment a lot greater than I am with cards and collecting. Like, this stuff's amazing, but I can't really actively enjoy it a lot of the time. That's what I love about consoles. That's what I love about playing my Game Boys. And I've also been playing a lot of Switch for Scarlet Violet. I think that the Switch has done a fantastic job. This is the first time I've ever played one. I've only had it for like 2 weeks now. I'm having a lot of fun playing Pokemon, and it's really opened up to my eyes to where consoles are going, and I think Nintendo did a great job with the Switch overall. That being said, I don't think that anything beats vintage. There's just something about how it feels, about how it fits in your hand, about just taking it anywhere you go. I don't know. I just feel like having one of these in my pocket is better than having the big Switch. The Switch is like a whole thing. You need a carrying case. It's heavy. There's just something so nice and so analog about having an old SP. I also plugged in my 64. I might show some gameplay of these older games on the Nintendo 64 just to show you guys like how crazy it is, like the old school graphics of these games. It's wild the time that we're living in right now. Now you plug your Switch in, you put it on the dock, and then boom, instantly the HDMI converts it to your TV, and you're playing Pokemon on your TV. Like playing a Game Boy game on your TV, except you don't need the GameCube or the GameCube Game Boy player. Like, it's just crazy. And I've got a lot of stuff coming that I'm gonna review for Mail Days. That's gonna in addition to what I'm talking about here, I'll be able to show you guys some of the things that I'm investing in and buying on eBay and on other websites. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and definitely be sure to check out the vintage retro gaming market. It is vast, and there is so much out there, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot like Pokemon. There's so much to learn. You're always learning something new every day, and that's really exciting to me. And I hope to make more friends and learn from the video game community more about that market and about games, and see what people like, and see what modifications people are coming up with. It's all very, very interesting to me. Anyways, guys, peace out. I hope you enjoyed the video, and honestly, if you look at the eBay listings, they are just steadily rising for Nintendo consoles and games. It seems like really, like, I have such a FOMO with this stuff, because it seems like the next listing that I look at is higher than the last. It keeps pushing a little bit further. Right now, games that I don't have yet, I need Pokemon Leaf Green with the box. I got one of the ones that I need on the way, which I'll reveal in a mail day. I need a gold box because I have Pokemon Gold that I repaired. I just don't have a box, so I need that box. And I need Pokemon Emerald, and I need Pokemon Crystal. Yeah, so I need 4 games. Oh, and Pokemon Red. No. Oh, wait. So I need Leaf Green. I need Leaf Green, a box for gold, Crystal, Emerald, and Red. Yeah, I need 5 more games, and I pretty much have all the Game Boy games that I could ever want as a collectible. And maybe in another video I'll talk about, putting in new batteries for these Game Boy games and why that might be detrimental to the value. What's that time? 25 minutes? Okay. All right. Closing down the video. Peace out, guys. I love you guys. Thanks for the support, and stay tuned because we have a Mystery Mail Day video coming up next.